Why are people so angry about Redfall's 30 frames per second cap rate? And what does this mean for the game? And should this be something that keeps you from buying the game and jumping into the game and enjoying it? Hey heroes, Cap here, and in today's video we're going to be breaking it down, diving into this debate and solving it once and for all. Why is Redfall capped at 30 frames per second, and should this be a deterrent as to keep you from playing the game? If you want to enjoy the video, be sure to smash the thumbs up and hit the subscribe as we get on into it and find the answers that we need about this 30 frames per second cap. Starting off with the initial announcement here, you can see that Redfall is going to be launching on consoles with quality mode only. So the Xbox Series X and S are both going to be capped at 30 frames per second. Now it is 4K 1440p, but that's the resolution behind it, not the frame rate that you'll see. And it looks like performance mode will be added to the game at a later date, which kind of pushes for people to be like, oh, maybe PC is the way to go for this game, because it doesn't seem to have a frames per second cap. And to start off with, my initial reaction to this announcement was just kind of, did it really matter? Should people be that angry and upset about the game? Should we be calling for a delay like a lot of people are? And why exactly are we pushing for 60 frames per second so hard? So I wanted to get to the bottom of this. So let's start by talking about how the FPS are all used. Like, what's the best frames per second for what you consume on a daily basis? Starting with the low rate of 24 frames per second, this is going to be for movies. So all the movies you feel, that cinematic feel that you get when you watch a movie, are all shot in 24 frames per second. Now bumping up to 30, where Redfall will be, this is going to be for like your TV shows, soap operas, and live broadcasts, like when you watch a live stream, for example. They give a more realistic feel to the show as it kind of eliminates some of the motion blur that you would get when you switch scenes and transitions. It kind of smooths them out a little bit, which you'll see even a smoother resolution or smoother transition when it's 60 frames per second, which is ideal for video games and what a lot of gamers kind of shoot for and call for when they play something. These 60 frames per second allow for a smoother transition, less motion blur, and your eyes to see and kind of take in what's going on around you at a faster rate. Now, of course, as you go higher with frame rate, then the smoother the transition will be. You just have to make sure that your screen or your TV is able to handle it. So you're going to be looking at your refresh rate on your screen and TV. Now, screen rate's breaking down into hertz, the HZ, and normally it's about 1 per frame per second. So if you have a refresh rate of 30, you can handle 30 FPS, or if you have a refresh rate of 60 frames per second, so on and so forth. So your screen needs to make sure that you can handle those many frames, as well as the console that you're playing on, which the Xbox Series S and X have both been said to be able to handle 60 frames per second. And even in an article from Phil Spencer, the CEO of Xbox, he said that he likes frames per second for the resolution feel that a game can provide. A game may have high resolution, but he actually thinks there's more immersion and a better experience with the game if you have a higher FPS. Which, kind of touching on resolution a little bit, resolution is how many pixels you fit on the screen, which a pixel is the base unit for what makes up an image. An image is made up of multiple pixels changing and coloring, that way your brain can take it all in. So we know that monitors and screens can handle it. We know that consoles are able to handle it. Well, the Xbox console in particular, since that's what we're talking about for Redfall. Can our eyes and brain perceive that many frames per second? And for the longest time, I thought the answer was actually no, but it turns out I was wrong. An article that PC Gamer did, talking to Jordan DeLong, a assistant professor at the time of writing this for psychology that specialized in visual systems, said that our brains can normally handle between 30 and 60 frames per second. And it turns out that it looks as though our brains are able to start picking up even more. It's even registered that some got up to 200 frames per second, and it just felt almost as if looking at or watching a video, but just in real life, like a real life motion picture. And with this being said, it seems that our brains and eyes can also discern the difference in all these different frame rates, which makes sense as to explain why if you play a game at 30 FPS versus 60 FPS, they look a little different. One seems a bit smoother than the other. And the 60 FPS is ideal for first-person shooter games, as those are usually more of your fast-paced, you need to see what's going on, and you gotta move on your feet quickly. Especially with Devinder's ability to kind of move from one to another pretty fast with this teleport, or Layla shooting characters up with her elevator, those frames may come in handy during those moments. So let's wrap up this whole video for Redfall. We know that they're capped at 30 frames per second. They're going to still release it on May 2nd, which I'm still excited for. But how do I feel afterwards? How's my reaction changed after knowing how frames per second work and how the resolution and everything, how it all comes together, the big picture, so to say. And I'll say after looking at it, I understand why people are a little upset and where the outrage could be from. Does it deter me from getting the game and playing it on day one when it drops? No, I'm still going to play it, but that's also for the fact that I'm going to be playing on PC versus those that play on Xbox with the 30 frames per second. Now I might download it on my Xbox with the Game Pass version just to kind of test it and see and do a side-by-side comparison of Redfall on PC versus Redfall on an Xbox and show the difference in the frames per second a little bit more closely. That way you can make sure that you know this is a game that you want to play. But like I said, Redfall does drop on May 2nd and it's a day one release on Xbox Game Pass and PC Game Pass, which means you can check it out as long as you have it. You don't have to worry about spending too much money on the game unless you go on to thoroughly enjoy it and you can upgrade by back edition or get further content down the road and DLCs, other characters that they're dropping, and what other plans they may have for us. It doesn't deter me from getting the game, but it does leave me with a bit of a I wish it was in the game when it dropped. Let me know in the comments below what you think, and check out my other videos on Redfall, like character analysis, so you know exactly which one you need to be playing as on day one when you jump into Redfall. As always, stay amazing, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.